Okay. Here we go. It's Thursday. My name is Sean. I'm a cop who talks about traffic online. And that's where you come in, because you're online watching. Whether it be live or replay, you're here, and I thank you for showing up. That's the first half of it. You know, if I talk and no one listens, well, what am I doing here? But you are listening, along with 630,000 people on TikTok, and that's pretty cool. I've taken one bite out of my donut, which is why it is not a whole donut. But I was given a coffee and a donut just before the meeting, and I didn't want to say no. So between questions, I may have a bite of my donut. It's very cliche, but it's what's happening. All righty then. What are we going to talk about? First off, we are going to mention the following. We are currently broadcasting on a number of platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, where you can watch, but everyone but Twitter can talk to us. Yes, we will not be able to see your questions unless you're on one of the other platforms previously mentioned. We have a moderator on TikTok who will take your questions and bring them over to the platform that allows me to put them on screen. And if you want to just skip that, you can go to trafficcop.ca. You can go to youtube.trafficcop.ca to go right to our YouTube page. Whatever works for you. We want you to be happy. We want you to be comfortable. I will say this. We are on Instagram, but it is a vertical video where you only see me. In the event that we have the good sergeant join us, he will not be visible, or at least it will be half of our faces. So if you want the full widescreen version, make sure you come over to YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, any of the other ones other than Instagram. What else can we say about our suboptimal options? We're going to have fun. I got the screens working again. That was a thing that was plaguing us since we moved into this office. We couldn't get the screens working, but I got them working today. Now it makes me want to move into the center of the screen. Anyway, things that bug me. All right, let's see who's in the room, and then we'll get into Vision Zero talk. Yes, I usually forget until halfway through the show. Today I'm on the money. I just can't pronounce anything. So who's in the room? We got Kayla Draconis, who got here, 7 or 8 minutes early and said greetings and salutations, and reminds that he's got a meeting at 10 o'clock, so he's probably left. He just wanted to drop it in. I'll note that he'll be here later. We have dedicated fans. We have Zombie with a good morning. And I'm so sorry. Zombie got bored, so she made a video intro to the show, which I fully planned on uploading before, but I've been a little busy prepping for the meeting we have going on next door, which I'll be going into right at 11 o'clock. So I do have a hard stop today at 11 o'clock. Usually we go a little late. That won't happen today. So what else we got to talk about? Yeah, so tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah, for Friday we'll do the intro. It was fun. Thanks for making that. Let's talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. What are they? Well, they're a dedicated group of officers who work daily, tirelessly, to influence, to change, to modify, to make better driver behavior. They do it through enforcement. It's education through enforcement. They give out tickets. Those tickets influence, hopefully, people to do better. If they're speeding, if they're breaking the laws, if they're doing something that puts other lives or the lives of others at risk, well, hopefully those tickets influence them to change their ways. They focus on speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Those are the behaviors that lead to serious injury and death more often than not. There's a lot of things that cause collisions, but the really serious ones, they fall into, I got to point this way, they fall into categories, and those are them, which is why we focus on them. They're amazing officers who do amazing work, and if you don't want to meet them, and I suggest you might not want to, don't break the law. Simple as that. We're often accused of being in it for the fines, that we want to just make some money. No, we'd be happily waiting, for someone to break the law instead of just picking from the many. There are so many people breaking the law on the road, and that's why they're very busy. Okay, Northern Bear 6720 says, is there a rule on tint in Ontario? As I cough apparently I should start my coffee off. Yes, there is tint rules. There are tint rules. There is tint rules. There are tint rules. Ontario says two things, and they sort of jive together, but they can be confusing, so I'll try and break it down. When you're getting your vehicle certified, you cannot be certified with more than 30% light blockage. If your window restricts more than 30% of the light coming through your window, it is not safe. That said, 30% being the threshold, you can get certified, but let's say you're driving around with your 30% tint, and it's dark outside, and we can't see in. That's illegal. We have to be able to see in the police, the public have to be able to see in. The police, it's obvious we have to see, be able to identify the driver, see if they're wearing their seatbelt, using their cell phone, doing things of that nature. And there's a $110 fine if we can't. There's also a $110 fine if you can't see out, if your view is obstructed. But if your tint is darker than 30%, well, then that's an unsafe motor vehicle, and that's like take your license plates away, and you can figure out how to tow your vehicle home because it's not safe for the road. It's a very noisy Tim Hortons lid. Anyway, I'm in a mood today. Windshield tint is prohibited. The only tint you can have on your windshield is if your vehicle is a 2016 or older. Then you can have a 3-inch tint strip to the top. Let's see here. Okay. Well, that question came up multiple times. Excuse me. I wonder if I've answered that. I've gone down a rabbit hole. I've been distracted by a couple messages. I wonder. Did I cover everything for tint? I think I did. Oh, rear windows as dark as you want. What are the metrics, or what metrics are tracked to keep officers accountable to their role? So let's see. Metrics. How do we keep track? Well, we do keep track of what people do. Officers have to account for what they're doing. When they're doing collision reports, that's something that is work that is quantifiable. When they write tickets, it's quantifiable. We know how they're spending time. And the deal is that there is no, because this is usually a question of whether or not there are quotas. There are none. We are expected to go out and do work. Is that work measured? Not in the way like how many times did you how many tickets did you issue in a day? Were you busy? Were you investigating something? Did you do a collision? Did you get called or issued, be dispatched to an event? It's not the way many people would think. However, it is good that we measure because we're being paid to do work. And if we're not doing work, that's a question. So essentially, if we're sitting at a Tim Hortons all day, kicking back, that's a problem. Doing nothing is a problem. But we have lots of people doing a lot of different things. And I hope that covers your question. Like I don't know if you're looking for something a little more in-depth. I don't know how in-depth I can go on that, just because I don't know the computer systems that track time, and everything gets punched into a computer. Not so much the number of tickets, but the amount of time in different capacities. When I'm doing administrative duties, when I'm in court, when I'm on patrol, that sort of thing. Okay. Tim Shallow says good morning. And then we have Evandro. Good morning to Evandro, our Brazilian fan. So Evandro sent me a photo yesterday, and he wants me to talk about it. It's a good discussion to have. So somebody was driving a vehicle, and he caught a photo of, I don't know if he took the photo or if somebody else took the photo, but the photo was sent to me regardless. I thought I kicked this cough. I didn't cough yesterday. Today I'm coughing. Okay. It was a photo of someone who had managed to tie or pressure fit into their hoodie a telephone. So they were driving with the telephone stuck to their face. And technically, I'm going to say not okay, because that phone could become dislodged. Their focus could be to fix the phone. They had to put the phone into their headband or however they affixed it. Not okay. Because I guess if they would have tied it to their head before they left and never touched it again, maybe okay, but generally just not a good idea. But I see that Bluetooth speaker is pretty cheap these days. You can get one reasonably priced, and that would be legal. Between the phone to your face, I'm going to say not. At very least, it's worth a conversation with the driver if you ever see that as a police officer. Big Jeff Fresh says good morning, and actually, you didn't say good morning. You left out the good. You just went straight to morning, and I appreciate that. Randy McNaught says good morning. He gave me both words. He says best wishes from London, Ontario. Right back at you from Toronto, Ontario. Goodwood Construction 13 wants to know. Let's see. What if they didn't flag the tints on my mechanical inspection? Oh, okay. So this is a tint question. What if I bought the car from I bought the car out of province. They didn't flag the tints on the mechanical inspection. So at the end of the day, you're still responsible. So you take it to a mechanic, they choose not to test the windows, and you drive it away, it's still on you. I bought it that way as not a defense. You are entirely responsible as the driver. You loan it to your mom. She gets the ticket for tint. Yes, she is the driver. She's responsible in that scenario. Doesn't matter. Now, you could go back to the mechanic and say, hey, you didn't catch that, and you certified it, and you could take that up with them, and maybe, but good luck. I don't know how that'll work. Mechanics have tint meters. They have to have tint meters. They have inspections where they have to produce said tint meter, even if they never choose to use it while inspecting, which would be on them, right? But in the side of the road, it's on you. What do we got next? Family sent me pictures from Winnipeg. It's covered in snow. Way. Really? She said the snow. Why did you say that word? Hopefully not coming our way, but wouldn't hurt to get winter tires on soon. So a message about winter tires. First, I sip coffee that's warm so I can, bounce back from the word that was used. I make a joke. I actually like snow. I don't mind driving in snow. I don't like when anyone else is near me driving in snow, but I don't mind driving in snow. So the deal is that when the temperature is consistently at 7 degrees or lower, that's when you want your winter tires. I figure I'm going to go in the next week or so. I imagine it's going to get cooler. They had a couple of cool mornings, but they've been really warm afternoons. I think it's like 18 degrees out today. So I'd be reluctant to jump in, but everyone's going to jump in at the same time. So I guess make your appointments. Start thinking about them if you have them. If you got them, use them. Just remember to take them off again. I saw people for 2 years running on what appeared to be the same tires. Winter tires in summer, really, really bad idea. They do not perform well in warm weather. I'm trying to center myself. Now that the screens are lit, it's really bugging me. Okay, moving along. Let me fix the Instagram view. Okay. Question. What is the question? It's a statement, sort of. Driving continuously with your hazard lights on? Is it illegal? Is that what you're getting at? It's silly. It's not wise. It serves no purpose, but is it against the law? No, it's not against that. There's no ticket for it. I'd probably pull them over to find out if they were impaired. Why would anyone drive around with their lights on? I'm going to have a bite of my donut. It's a good donut. I saw a TikTok this morning. It's so rude of me. I'm sorry. I'm having sugary stuff on camera. I don't think I've ever eaten on camera. Yeah, I don't think I like this. The eating part, not the being on stream part, or donuts. Anyway, yeah, I'll leave the rest of that donut for later. I do not feel comfortable eating on camera. Okay, so I watched a TikTok this morning where two people it was the library TikTok or something, and Buddy they're comparing donuts, the $1 donut from Tim Hortons versus a $10 donut. And Chap A was really not impressed with Tim Hortons donuts. I don't have them regularly, but I actually like this one. Okay, moving on. Can I drive G1 alone? Okay. I have to compose myself. If you have a G1, means you took the test. Do you think you can drive with a G1 alone? If you think so, then turn your driver's license, your learner's permit in. You did not study. You are not permitted to drive alone with a G1 at all, ever. No. It is a learner's permit that requires you to be supervised by a qualified G-class driver with 4 years experience. That's it. Oh, and they also have to have less than 0.05 BAC, blood alcohol content, and that's because they have to be capable of legally driving themselves. Yeah. So why on earth would anyone drive with a G1 alone? Because they're not licensed, they're not insured. It's a bad day at the office. What will happen to you? $110 ticket for driving G1 unaccompanied, 30-day suspension on your first conviction, second conviction, 90-day suspension, third conviction, kicked out of the driver's license program. You have to start again. You lose all time that you've invested in getting your G1 to your G2 like that. You have to do 8 months to 12 months, depending if you have a qualified course under your belt. Yeah, you get kicked out of that program. You lose it all. You're not insured. You're not licensed, thus you're not insured. Get into a collision, your insurance company will say, happy day, we don't have to pay. So that's the basics. I'm sure there's more that we can come up with, but Oh, and if you that's if you took the vehicle with consent, and if you took the vehicle with consent, we would charge the person who gave you the car. So they would be charged for letting you drive in contravention of a condition of your license. If you didn't have consent, mom, dad didn't know you were taking the car, but you took it anyway because you just had to go get French fries from the Golden Arches, then you get charged criminally for take vehicle without consent. So there's a whole bunch of things that can happen. None of them are good. And it's all up to you as to whether or not you change your life that way. Because I can tell you one thing, it's going to be on your record for the rest of your days. I know that your conviction's for 3 years, but we will see it forever. Okay. Do cops know if you canceled your car insurance, even though the pink slip says until 2024? Funny you should say that. Yeah, we kind of do. Two things are true. One, the ministry gets an updated report every once in a while and tells the ministry or the insurance companies report back to say, is this one confirmed or unconfirmed for insurance? We call that a clue. But we're investigators. We're trained investigators. So we call your insurance company and say, hey, how you doing? We have this person with this insurance, and we want to know if the license or the insurance policy is the status of it. Is it currently valid? We have 3 years to do that. I stop you today when I have free time and nothing else is going on. I call insurance companies, and then I verify. And if you do not have insurance, I have 3 years to lay the charge, even though it happened in the past. So I can either charge you then, or if I find out you had provided me with false information, I will charge you after the fact. Yeah. You got to keep hobbies, right? Hobbies for me are what used to be insurance confirmations. Yeah. Zombie says there was a 158 car pileup in the United States caused by poor visibility, fog, and smoke. What kind of charges are laid? It's the smoke in the comment. That's what's I'm coughing. I'm convinced that's what it is. I don't know. Hang on a second. I don't know if that mute button worked, but I tried. So at the end of the day, I don't know what charges would be applied in there. Fog and smoke are not an excuse. If you have poor visibility, then you need to adjust your driving speed based on the conditions, and careless driving would be absolutely appropriate. Would they charge 158 people for careless driving? I don't know. I don't know what the equivalent would be, but I would certainly be looking at charging people because they all drove without being able to see, which is fairly careless in my opinion. Just saying, things don't just happen like that. If you see things up ahead because you're looking down the road, you should adjust your speed. A lot of collisions are because people are not paying attention. But I like the question. Thanks, Zombie. Use of handheld communication device in a hood is not a hands-free device. Yeah, like so many people put hands-free on their phone, like put it on speakerphone, and then say, but it's in speaker mode, it's hands-free, as they show me the device like this. Yeah. And having it on your lap is use, according to the courts, because you put it there and it can slide off of there, which means your hand would have to respond to it. There's some justification as to why that is not an appropriate place to store your phone whilst driving. So when you put it in your hood, whether it's somewhat secure or not, I would argue that it is still being used and inappropriately used. Okay. KG says, I see everyone text and drive. Do you guys allow it now? No, just a lot of people have no self-control and their phone runs their life. Thus, they cannot put it down, and I see it all the time too. When I'm off duty, coming to and from the office, I see nearly every car, especially in traffic, nearly every car is typing away. And they're not even like hiding it. They're not even hiding it. It's everybody. It's bad. $615 fine, 3-day suspension on the first conviction. I think it's a 7-day on the second. Not a good look for your insurance company, at least your insurance policy. I imagine that it'll go up in a big way if they see the conviction. Yeah, and the suspension probably stinks if you like go to have a place to go like work. You have to, if you can't control yourself and that little phone controls your life, put the little phone in the trunk. Program it to be on silent. Have the car auto mode. There's an automatic enabled mode that when you're in a motor vehicle, it senses, I think, your speed. Maybe it's when you connect it to CarPlay. Whatever the case is, there's a way of controlling it so that you don't have to leave it to your poor judgment. Not you, KG. I mean everybody else. Anyway, excuse me. Let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? What if your phone is in a dock? Can you use it on speaker? Okay, very good question. So there are some exemptions, and thank you for JD for pulling that one up. The deal is this: if it's mounted, you can use a swipe or button press to answer, and a swipe or button press to hang up, and that is it. You can't do anything else. You can, if you set it prior to getting on the road, put it in GPS mode. You can then use the GPS mode, but you can't enter an address. It has to be set configured prior to getting on the road. You have to be legally parked in a place you can get out and leave your car to do anything more than that. Now, when you are talking about phones, you can have a headset on. You can press a button on your headset to answer or hang up. That's lawful. What else can you do? That's about it. You can use audio commands. I love Siri and Alexa and whatever other kind of googly goo, commands. I don't know. I use Apple. I don't know anybody else's catchphrase for getting the attention of your digital assistant. But there is so much technology packed into these devices now. There is absolutely no reason you ever have to touch it. If I'm telling my wife that I'm going to be home late or I'm in traffic, I say, hey. And then it says, okay, review, send. You want me to send it? I go, yeah. It's done. Why would I have to touch it? Why do I have to break the law? I don't. It's so simple. The Grinch says good morning. I don't think I acknowledged you earlier. Scrolling back, looking for some stuff to talk about. Okay, we got lots of questions. If you're watching, you don't know who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. We're on a whole bunch of different platforms. So wherever we are, for you, please like, follow, subscribe, share. And if you're on TikTok, can you do me a favor and hit that screen, tap, 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 put the hearts on, make the likes happen. And that helps the algorithm know that we're worthy of sharing to more people. We just want to share good information and be available so people can ask us questions. It's what we live for. Or maybe that's what I like doing. I like helping people. All right. We got, do cops, oh, here we go. We talked about that. We talked about this. Dirt bike, street legal? Is dirt bike street legal? Been asking you from yesterday. I'm pretty sure we answered it, but maybe I didn't, and if I didn't, my apologies. Dirt bikes are not street legal unless they are dual sport vehicles that are manufactured with headlights and horns and signals and appropriate tires. You can't take a truly dirt bike, which is a off-road only motorcycle. You cannot. The VIN number is not approved. There's a whole bunch of things. It's just not meant for the road, and then you cannot ride those on the road at all. In fact, when you're crossing from field to field, where you're may be legally permitted to, or trail to trail, where you're maybe legally on one side and maybe illegal on the other, but you can't ride it across the road. You have to actually push it across the road, which is interesting. Now, the only time I've ridden off-road dirt bikes were on tracks. I never rode on trails trails in conjunction with tracks. I think I went to Gopher Dunes 100 years ago. I never had to worry about that. And I have many friends who have dual sport enduro style motorcycles that are licensed and insured for the road. And of course, they're licensed riders. So there's the answer to your question. No, off-road dirt bikes that are strictly off-road are not permitted on the road. I think I've covered it. What is this? Randy, is this the second part of a two-part comment? I don't see of drivers spent as much time. I think it was an incomplete. Maybe it didn't get through. All right. Let's go into Brar. Jagmohan Brar? Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Okay. Wow, that shows up. I've never seen it show up like that. It's a LinkedIn thing. Wow. Okay. Officially, you're the biggest comment I've ever seen, because usually it cuts things off. Anyway, actually, I don't even see the whole comment, so I'm going to close it again because I'm going to read it. I do see it here. Jagmohan says, hi, good morning. Just curious on what is law in Ontario when someone is caught driving over double the speed limit. I'm a peace officer from Manitoba. I had someone last night doing 166 in an 80 on the first day of snow. Okay, that's wild. And thanks for coming in and asking. So here's the deal. We have a number of different offenses that are appropriate. You're talking an 80 kilometer an hour zone. So for us, stunt driving would apply at 50 kilometers over the posted limit. So that would incur a 30-day suspension roadside, a 14-day vehicle impound, and of course charges. And the charges for stunt driving would be eligible for a 1 to 3 year driving suspension on your first conviction, $2,000 to $10,000 in fines, and up to 6 months in jail. That's on the first conviction. Second conviction would be same 2 to 10,000, but it would be a 3 to 10 year prohibition on driving on conviction, and again up to 6 months in jail. Third conviction or subsequent would be lifetime bans on driving. At this point, I don't think they'd ever be driving. The insurance would be astronomical, but anyway, that's another story. What else would be possible? At 166 and an 80 in snow and with people around, I think you can make an articulation, or you can easily articulate the criminal code offense of dangerous driving, and you could arrest and criminally charge them. I think, of course, it has to be you who thinks that, and if that's something that your jurisdiction would support. But speed alone could be, hey, are you coming in? Sergeant, see, I was talking about this earlier, that Sergeant Campbell might join us. Did you notice I got the screens working?
Hey, look at that.
Yeah. It's only like, and I have a donut. The meeting gave me a donut.
I'm not going to say anything about your donut.
I wanted to have a cliche donut. I've never, and I tried eating it on the screen, and it's wrong.
Yeah,
I can't eat it on camera. Can't. I have sipped coffee though. That's okay.
How is it going today?
It is going well. And here, look at this. I've never seen this before. The biggest comment ever. And it did say the whole comment. It's just, I've never seen one take up half the screen before. It's
Well, they must have changed something. Got an update or
there's an update. Something's different. It's weird. And I was going to say that I couldn't read the whole thing, but I can. It's actually, the whole thing is not cut off. Anyway, this was the question. We were just discussing it. He's a Manitoba peace officer. Got someone doing 166 and an 80. So we were just breaking down that in Ontario, that would be stunt driving. And first day of snow, I'd even, depending on the circumstances, might even consider criminal dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so excessive. And if you know the weather conditions are such that it is inevitable you're going to crash or get caught, or yeah, absolutely.
It's people do really dumb things behind the wheel. I'm comfortable saying that that's dumb. Okay, then we've got, here's the rest of Randy's question or statement. If drivers spent as much time obeying the traffic laws they do trying to get around them, they would have a lot less issues and therefore less tickets.
You know what? I like Randy.
Randy's awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. You know what? You spend so much time having to speed because you procrastinated and left late. Think about it. Plan. Leave 5 minutes earlier.
It's easy. It's actually easy.
I love seeing the guys that, go zipping through the highway and through traffic and, running the amber lights and getting up, and then you both arrive at the same place at the same time.
Consistently. And actually what happens is I think they get embarrassed and then they up the ante and start running red lights and things just so they don't get caught and have to sit there and look at the same people because they look really dumb.
Yeah.
I really like it when they look dumb. Yes. Okay, what do we have here? We have some flagged, going back to the flag stuff. A lot of questions popped in. Okay. Are modifications lights under car legal?
Underglow?
Underglow.
Underglow.
So I say it depends. I've had various, I've sort of modified my opinion. I used to say there's nothing, and I'll say what I always say, which is that there's no specific law against underglow. However, there are laws that cover lighting, forward facing, rear facing, even emitting to the side, and that could be impacted by your use of underglow. But at the end of the day, regardless of the law, it's not something that's a good idea. You're distracting to other people. You may very well find someone who interprets the law differently and lays the charge, and whether you win in court or not, you are going to be tied up in court dealing with it.
If you cast a light, especially to the front, of anything other than amber or white, it's unlawful.
Mm-hmm.
If your underglow happens to be pink, red, green, whatever, and I can see it from the front of your car, you are casting light to the front. Sean may not see it that way. He actually thinks that you must see the light bulb casting it forward. That's the way I read it. The only way to cast light forward is for the eye to pick up is to actually be able to see it. So would I be giving you a ticket? Absolutely.
And that's where I say that regardless of whether you think it's legal, it may not be the opinion of the officer, and you may find yourself defending it in court. Many people have it and have had it for years and never had a problem. And then they meet somebody who has a problem with it.
Yep.
And it doesn't make it less illegal when you got away with it. It's just that you're actually being held accountable now.
Now, if you're doing it just for show, that's fine. do it just when you're in private property for show. If you're doing it, if there's under lights for off-road vehicles, I know there's an awful lot of vehicles now that have Jeeps have an accessory you can put on that's in the fender well, will light up the front outside the wheels of the car, because when you're off-roading, you're going over some terrain where you need to actually see what you're doing, and that much space may change you traversing something properly and safely or not.
Well, those are rock lights.
So those make sense, but you can't use them on the road.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's available for sale that isn't legal and will end you up in hot water. And if you're doing it just to show off, it's not worth your time or investment to look that cool or not cool, depending on the.
So are modifications under lights legal?
Depends.
It depends.
Yeah. And again, it's going to depend also on the jurisdiction you're in. You know, the interpretation of the law may change based on the police service and their policies, because they may train to a certain way. Even if the law is written one way, they may interpret it that way. You go to a different jurisdiction, different province, they may have absolute hard line laws around it. We speak to Ontario law, but and reference it from that basis. But yeah, things can change.
And the laws change in Ontario as well.
Yes, I imagine that one day we'll have an underglow law, because someone will do something that blinds someone or distracts or blinks to the music, and then someone, misinterprets it.
Like it's been said many times here, every time there's a law created or a law that is in place or a rule or a guideline, it's because somebody has done something to cause somebody to create it.
Here's one. Chase gives us trivia of the day. What is the minimum amount of liability insurance you must have to drive a motor vehicle in Ontario? Do you know? I read ahead, so I even if I didn't know, I now know. But I will tell you that I don't care, and the reason I don't care is I always put $2 million liability, because $2 million is the maximum that can be lawsuit can be done. So why wouldn't I want to cover for all of it? If I skimp out and I get the minimum or $1 million, which I think is that the average is $1 million, then I'm responsible for the other $1 million. No, thank you. I'm going to take the insurance for the extra $10 a month or whatever it is.
So is it, and it all depends on if they update it, with the cost of living or whatever it goes up. Is it 500,000?
According to, well, let's see here. Dr. Nix came in with a guess. He was the first guess. He says, isn't it $1 million? Michael says, isn't it $2 million? But Chase has the answer, $200,000.
Wow.
Which I was shocked. I did not know that.
I would have thought 500,000.
Like I said, whenever I've gone and gotten insurance, they always say, okay, $1 million liability. I'm like, no, I want $2 million. And I would have assumed that $1 million would have been like Dr. Nick, that would have been the minimum. But I've never really cared about the minimum. So.
I have a different thought on it. Because you're offering $2 million liability, people are just going to sue you for $2 million.
Well, they're going to sue you for $2 million anyway. Just saying. Let's see here. Oh, Evandro put a how to prevent car theft video on his channel yesterday. One in Portuguese, one in Spanish. If you are speaking either of those languages, and you probably won't understand what I'm saying to you right now if you don't speak English. So, but if you are speaking those languages and prefer to hear it there, go to Evandro's channel.
How to prevent car theft.
How to prevent car theft. I'm going to go watch it, and then I'm going to have someone translate it for me.
Well, I'd like to see what his thoughts are on it. Did you pull it from somewhere? Did you pull it from the Toronto Police website? Did you pull it from something that's on Sean's Linktree? What is it? Where'd you get it? Where'd you get the information?
Mm-hmm. It's probably he's good with that stuff. He's probably taking it from our sources.
Yeah,
probably. Let's see here. Dustin Pomeroy wants to know, on the highway, if an ambulance is on the far right with lights on doing 80 or less, can I legally pass them on the far left at the speed limit? So you're not pulling over for the emergency vehicle that's passing you, or you're passing them. You're passing them. You're approaching them. Well, why are they in the left lane doing 80 or less? Maybe they're approaching something. Maybe there's something that they know about.
No, it says in the far right lane.
They're in the far. Oh, can you? Oh, okay. I misheard. I always assume that we're going to be in the far left lane. I misheard that thing that I read.
Yep.
Okay.
You read it.
Yeah. I hear myself. Anyway, so the deal is that can you pass them on the far left at the speed limit? Well, I would not suggest passing in an emergency vehicle, but it's with their lights and siren, or just
it doesn't matter. By the letter of the law, as soon as you pass them, you have to pull over.
Yes, because they're approaching you.
Yeah.
Now, what I have done in the past, when it's just lights on and they're doing weird things. I pulled up and I've said, and they go, turn it on.
Yeah.
They forgot.
Sometimes they forget.
Sometimes.
I've done it before.
Yeah. I've driven quite a distance forgetting to turn off my lights. Our lights now beep to remind us that it's on, which is actually wonderful, but our old technology.
Yep.
If you didn't have the rotors on, you didn't hear them.
Yep. Our cars here in traffic services, because we patrol the highways, we have signboards on the top. And it is a big, huge sign that goes up electrically, and it has flashing arrows left, right. Well, they don't make any noise when you're in there. And if you forget to put it down,
bad things happen. If you're going under an underpass, for instance, or
even when you're taking off into traffic and you're trying to accelerate rapidly to merge with traffic safely, and all of a sudden your car won't go any faster.
It's a big sail or brake.
Is because it's sticking up the top there. Yeah.
So the answer is you can't leave. Well, if you pass them, you'd have to pull over based on the letter of the law.
Exactly. So why do it?
Yeah.
And if they're slowing down in the right lane, they're either looking for someone, something, the incident, the injured person, or they're dealing with something that is emergent in the back, and they're driving slowly because they're trying not to further injure somebody. Yeah, don't let them do their job.
Don't pass them.
So by the letter of the law, as soon as you pass them, you got to pull over and stop. So it's easier just to stay back.
Even if they're going slower, and because it may be for a legit reason. Trish wants to know if there's a legal way to have pets in a vehicle. Well, I'll tell you the one way to illegally have them in your vehicle is in or around the driver, on your lap, looking out the window over the driver's arm. That's careless driving, and certainly not acceptable behavior. What you should do, and we've had multiple episodes with the OAC, what is it called? What are they called?
I don't know.
I got confused with the OACP. The animals, the OSPCA, lots of acronyms here. The OSPCA and Humane Society both endorse the concept of tethering or crating animals and securing those tethered animals to the back seat, whether it be in the crate or using a harness tether. And they say for various reasons, but one of them is in a collision, they become a projectile and they can hurt you and themselves.
Absolutely.
In the event of a collision, if you are incapacitated, but the windows are broken, if they're not tethered or crated, they can exit the vehicle and then suffer further injury or hurt somebody, because an animal that is panicking could, in fact, react. It's scared, it bites someone, and then you now have an additional issue going on. So the most appropriate, although not legally required, to crate or tether is the safest, according to those agencies, and I support that. But it is illegal to have them on your lap, around your person, either drive, walk around.
If you have them on their lap and you get involved in a collision, even if it's not your fault, you've killed them because they're in between you and an airbag that's firing at thousands.
It's 200 miles per hour or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say thousands of feet per second or inches per second.
It's bad. It would be messy. And bones of small animals could be injected into you in the event of that. It's just a bad recipe. Bad.
So, yes, it's legal to have pets in your vehicle. Treat your pets like your children.
Yeah.
Secure them.
Protect them.
Sketchy
Udon says, are physical copies of registration and insurance still required? So, yes, and
No.
depends. Well, it depends, because yes, absolutely for registration, because it's either a photocopy of the original or the original. A photocopy, true copy of both sides of the registration. So that's still physical, even if it's a photocopy. And for your insurance requirements, it's either the original pink slip or through an approved app from the insurance company, not a photocopy, not a picture of the original or the approved app that's distributed securely from the insurance company. And my insurance company does not have an app.
And that ability only applies to motor vehicles on the roadway.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't apply to ATVs. You must have the original. Doesn't apply to snow vehicles. You must have the original.
Good to know.
Yes.
Now certain other jurisdictions may supply electronic for everything. Some driver's licenses are available from the states electronically. We would accept it if that's the jurisdictional, if that's how they get their stuff.
Yep.
And we can confirm that that's the way it's provided. We apparently a year or two ago we were supposed to have electronic licenses or ID.
Well,
has not
is
happened.
it coming?
Haven't
It's
heard
probably
nothing.
coming, but
Not yet.
they're working out the kinks.
I like the question though. Let's see here. Michael is commenting on White Christmas. Let's see. We'll put it up on the screen. See it cut off on LinkedIn. It gave the whole screen on YouTube. It cut off. So he's talking about regarding the snow. I can like some snow driving, if not too deep. I like snow walks. White Christmas is necessary for a Christmas, but he'd rather have it early December to mid-February, late November, early December. Okay.
I like the snow.
Actually, you know what? It didn't cut off as well. As I read it, it just looked like it cut off. Yeah, okay. Canuck canoe catfishing. Canuck canoe catfishing. Okay. Have you ever dealt with a sovereign citizen? We have dealt with sovereign citizens. I think many of us have.
So I know the Toronto Police have. I have not personally.
I have in court. Like as a court officer, which is the position I held before I became a police officer, I had dealt with sovereign citizens in court. I have never pulled one over, but I have many secondhand stories. I don't think I pulled one over. Maybe I did. I don't know. They all converge. A lot of YouTube videos too.
Yep.
Frank, why do cops do traffic stops blocking a lane or two, a lane on a 2-lane road? Why not pull into a parking lot? Oh, okay. That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off,
sometimes we do.
We absolutely do. It depends. Depends on the urgency. Depends on the type of, what we're doing when we're doing it. Sometimes I don't want to give people the opportunity to get away.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Depending on the situation, sometimes you, first of all, can't lawfully let somebody drive once you start investigating them. Once you get somebody stopped, if you give them the opportunity to start moving again, it gives them the opportunity, their mind thinking that, hey, maybe I'm just not going to stop for a second time because I realize I've been caught and no, once you're stopped, you're stopped.
And why do we, why don't we just stop people in parking lots? Well, you have to stop them. We've gotten out of the car. We've initiated. We can probably complete the entire call rather than getting back on the road. Like sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Stops don't have to be long term.
You're also going to see that we offset our cars doing a traffic stop. We need a little lane of safety to get out of our vehicle and walk up there. There's an awful lot of times, especially impaired drivers, will run into the back or come very, very close. They don't move over. They speed up. They do silly things. So you'll see that our police cars or emergency vehicles offset a little bit, just to give us a little bit of.
I assume that Frank is more concerned about the negative impact on traffic.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Yep. But
okay.
Maybe if we pull
apparently your volume is. They're saying come closer because your volume is low.
Oh.
We got a complaint. Speak up. That's what they're saying. Sit closer. JD says, sit closer. Okay. He's not only our moderator, he is the soundboard manager, and you can talk like this.
Yes.
Much better. What happened on the Burlington Skyway the other night? I haven't the foggiest. I don't know. We're not in Burlington.
It could have got foggy on the Burlington Skyway.
That's possible.
You never know.
I don't know. Sanjay Thapa wants to know. Says, yesterday I got G2. Can you tell me about G2 and which things I can't do?
We can, but you should already know it.
You should know. If they gave it to you, it's because you studied and you knew stuff and things. Basically, the thing is this. You can drive anywhere in Canada, in the United States. You're a conditional driver, but you're a probationary driver. You have conditions. The conditions are between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. in the first 6 months, you are restricted to having no more than one passenger under the age of 20. That is not, that outside of your family. Immediate family is exempt. You can have as many people as you have seatbelts that are functioning in seats for them. But between midnight and 5 a.m., you are restricted to one person under the age of 20. In the second 6-month period, you're allowed to have up to 3 that are not members of your immediate family that are under the age of 20. You must maintain a 0 blood alcohol content. And I think that's it. I don't think there's any other condition that I'm aware of.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was reading.
Okay. I think you're good with that. But congratulations on getting your G2 and keeping it. There is something else that you should know, that as a someone part of the graduated licensing program, if you manage to get yourself a ticket with 4 demerit points, you will get a 30-day suspension on your first conviction. And it goes up from there. So you want to follow all the rules of the road. Everyone should, but you really want to. Let's see here. In the foggy smoke I shared on Telegram, they were probably speeding and believe they should go as fast as. So there was a 158 car pileup in the United States yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and the question earlier was 158 people crashed into one another because of fog and smoke. What would you charge them with?
Careless.
That's what I said.
Absolutely. You're not supposed to run into anything.
Yeah,
Ever.
If you can't see, you should be adjusting your behavior based on the fact that you cannot see.
Absolutely.
You point it in the right direction and pray, doesn't work.
That's a lot of writing tickets.
Oh, God. And reports.
157 of them crashed into something else.
Yes. 158 car pile up. See if I can pull up the 2 days ago, super fog crash.
168.
106. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
That's just.
Can you?
I want to see if there's a video, but what? Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to try and share a picture. Well, I can't. I can certainly share a picture, but I want to see if there's a better. No, there was 100. See, they're reporting it two different ways. 168 and 158. So which one is correct? Because they're obviously
they're both
8 people were killed, 63 were injured. That's in Louisiana. Okay, it looks like it's. Oh, look at this.
Wow.
Okay, let's put this on. That's in. I don't get it. Okay, let's put it on screen. A couple of mouse clicks here, and it'll be. Can I put it up? Deadly pile up and super fall. I don't want to share audio.
No.
That caused me problems in the past.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't run this.
Geographic restriction. We're not allowed to.
Yep.
Well, okay then. Everyone can look it up themselves. But that's wild. Okay. Hans says, hello, I'm driving from Saskatchewan to New Brunswick next week with a camper trailer with a permit on it. Will I be okay? So
is it a temporary permit that you've got on the back?
I'm assuming that's what it is.
Yeah. So you may get stopped. You may get checked.
If you're in order?
You never know. Make sure everything's good and you're good to go.
Sounds reasonable. Most police give warnings. Why are you strict? Would you give first-time phone user a ticket? Considering that distracted driving is such a major cause of collisions that you put people's lives at risk, yeah, I don't give warnings for that. I would not. I don't give warnings for very much. Like if I pull you over for speeding, you're getting a speeding ticket. If you then have a license plate frame, a headlight out, and 25 other things, you might get 25 warnings. You might get 25 tickets. It really depends. But you're absolutely getting the ticket for the stuff that's dangerous.
Yep. The moving violations for sure. Are we strict? No, we're doing our job. And are we making it safer for you? Yes. And I can tell you, most police don't give warnings. Because there's no point in doing your job if you're just giving out their warnings.
Yeah, just acknowledging that someone broke the law and then sending them on their way without repercussions. Like, okay, let's convert this to theft. If you steal, should you get a warning?
Well, for your first, 3 or 4 times.
Well,
maybe.
Apparently, and this is statistics, the first time someone gets arrested for shoplifting, it's the 8th or 10th time that they've actually committed the offense. I would argue that the person on their cell phone who got caught by me has been doing it every day since the day they got their phone or license or combination thereof and got caught by me. And thus, I end the cycle by giving them a ticket. I want to document all the bad driving. I want to document all the lawbreakers because that's how points accumulate and they lose their licenses. And that's ultimately what I want to do. I want to take bad drivers off the road. It is a privilege, not a right, and you should not be on the road if you're going to put my friends, family, and the public at large at risk because of your poor choices. So why would I give you a warning?
Let alone crash and either make me a victim or make my insurance go up.
We all collectively pay for other people's mistakes. What if your phone is in a dock and you use it on speakerphone? Yes, you can, but the audio quality may vary. But yeah, you can. Again, you can't do anything other than answer the phone when it's in a dock. You can't dial out. You can't touch and type emails to mom. It's just answer or hang up. But you can use a speakerphone instead of if you don't have a Bluetooth device.
There was you had one up just a little. I don't know if you switched back and forth between messages.
What was it?
I like the name of the person.
Oh, I may have removed it already. If it was a previous one that I had up?
Yeah, it wasn't a question you'd answered yet.
What was it?
Well, let's see if I can see it.
Boom.
Just go back to messages.
I'm going to put this one on screen first,
Okay.
which I've not read. I have seen police driving using their phone. Hypocrite. That's
Yes.
Mr. Sweetermans. Not a hypocrite. We are lawfully exempt from the law preventing people from using their handheld communication devices. Police have an exemption, along with fire and ambulance, and even a couple of other entities that allow handheld communication devices to be used because there's a reason. And in fact, the general public is also permitted to use it in one circumstance.
Calling 911.
Yeah. So there are times when it makes sense. Now, oddly enough, we are 911, or at least part of the process, and there is a reason why we would use the devices that we have, and that's because we are dealing with sensitive information. We're dealing with information that relates to public or officer safety, and we need that information. You do not need to order a pizza. It is not important. Just saying. Did you find which?
No, you scrolled up. I've lost it. It's gone.
Maybe we'll find it again. Okay. But I appreciate that you don't like the fact that we're allowed to or that we do it.
And it looks bad.
It does look bad because then we have to explain
Are we
it.
distracted?
Sure
Absolutely, we are.
We acknowledge that we are. I will say this. We, if we can avoid it, are expected to and do avoid it. It's only when we have to.
And when we make mistakes with it, we are held to a higher standard than the general public is.
Yes.
Because we get tickets and we get charged under the Police Services Act.
I don't know if anyone's watching there. I think that Instagram is just the funnel to bring people to the other platform. Okay. Oh, okay. We've covered this a bunch of ways, like 6 ways, maybe 7 ways. But the question is, if the phone is in the dash holder and connected to Bluetooth, are you allowed to press answer? Yes, that is the only time you're allowed. Whether it's connected to Bluetooth or not, if it's in a holder, you can press the button to answer and hang up. This one I don't know about. I don't know how to answer this. How would you go about legally transporting a small tank of nitrogen? Any hazardous transportation laws I should be aware of? Are you about to transport nitrogen?
Nitrogen, nitrous oxide.
Oh, like we're talking laughing gas. We're talking about.
Are we talking?
Well, I don't know if nitrogen is. I am not a chemist. I don't know if nitrogen and nitrous oxide are the same thing.
Well, one of them has an oxide of nitrogen in there, so could be. Is that what you mean? Are you talking?
Because then there is a way to. Well,
there are extra regulations if you're transporting a nitrous oxide tank for use for racing in your vehicle. It can't be connected. It has to be turned off.
You can have the system in place, but it cannot be connected to a tank that's full.
Yeah, exactly. Carrying dangerous goods, placards, things like that. I think it depends on the size that you're carrying.
I know not.
I don't know either.
Okay, we'll move on because we don't know. We don't know enough. But you should know if you are transporting it, and I would imagine anywhere that you're buying it would likely advise you.
I bet you Chase knows the answer.
Of course he knows. He knows everything.
That's why he asked the question.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's like a lawyer. He doesn't ask questions he doesn't know the answers to. For situations where you need to stop because you couldn't merge or have to slow down, yield for a turn, etc., and you get rear-ended, who's at fault? That's a very... So a situation is because you stopped because you couldn't merge because no one let you in. You probably waited too late to slow down appropriately. If you just got to the end and then you have to hammer down, but if you get rear-ended, the person behind you probably was following too close. So it's a more complicated question because it depends.
Yeah,
it depends.
But could you have stopped the wrong place? Could you be interfering with the flow of traffic? A whole bunch of things. You could both get tickets for it because there's 2 offenses. Nobody should run into anybody or anything. And driving on the roads, driving properly, you're not going to run into anything. So if somebody rear-ends you, yes, you're not supposed to do that. You're at fault.
Here's a good question. It's from the Grinch. Why is it illegal for bikes to ride across crosswalks? Always being curious about this rule, as my kids asked me, and I said I'd find out from the guy who will know. So there's a couple of things. One, crosswalks are for pedestrians. That's one. 2, when you are crossing the street, the speed in which you are crossing the street, if you're riding versus walking, will generally be different. And if you are going quickly, cars will not necessarily anticipate where you're going to be, which may lead to collision.
I've seen a bunch of times where somebody has been motoring right down the sidewalk, and
boop.
I've gone to make a right turn, and thank goodness I checked, because they come flying out and think that they can have the right of way and cross, and they would be right in the side of the car. You know what? Crosswalks are for walking across,
Yes.
and it keeps the pedestrians safe as well. Motorists know what to expect when pedestrians are there. Most times.
Most times. If you're riding, why
you're
would you
riding a
ride
bike-
in a crosswalk? You would ride beside because you're riding on the road already.
Yeah. So riding a bicycle is a vehicle, and you're subject to vehicle laws.
Now, you mentioned the kids. So in Toronto, you must be under the age of 14 years old to ride on the sidewalk, at which point it makes sense that you would be approaching a crosswalk. And at that point, dismounting and walking is for safety. And that's why we would enforce it.
And most places in Toronto now have the advanced pedestrian walking signs. You cannot proceed as a cyclist with those. But if you're off when you're standing beside your bike and you push it across the intersection,
Then you're a pedestrian.
you get to go first.
Many cyclists want to be pedestrians and motor vehicles at the same time, depending on how they feel.
Yeah, depending on what suits them to get through faster.
Question from Radic. Good morning. What part of the vehicle must be free of snow before I drive it after a snowfall? Well, that's an interesting question. There are arguments, and I love talking about this in winter because it drives people crazy. There have been arguments, and I've made those arguments at times, that the entire vehicle has to be free of snow because you are transporting that snow and that load, which will become dislodged, could fly to blind other people, could become a projectile. I've had my windshield smashed out of my vehicle because of slush and snow that came off of an 18-wheeler. So there are real-world scenarios where all of the snow should be removed. What do most people do? They take out that little scoopity scoop and they can see through like they're in a submarine and looking through a periscope. That is not sufficient. As soon as the vehicle warms up, it slides down, you're blind, and you're causing collisions. Your license plate obviously must be clear as well. I would just say the entire vehicle has to be clear.
Absolutely. Nothing you're carrying can come off of your car at any time.
Well, let's say you do everything but the roof, and many SUV owners and truck drivers are guilty of this. They clear the snow of everything, but they can't reach the top. Then the car warms up, and as soon as they slow down, all of the snow from the roof falls onto the window, and now they're out of commission again. Not acceptable.
Or falls off the back end of the car behind them.
Yeah, again, not acceptable. A couple minutes till the end, and we're approaching quickly, so no questions after 11, and we'll try and cherry pick a couple of good ones, but we have a meeting to go into, and they have donuts. Donuts. All right. Are there any official government resources that teach driving methods, not rules like the MTO? I'm trying to learn the best way to judge safe lane changes. So the ministry often puts out a lot of information in terms of safety. We certainly talk about it a lot. But in terms of official teaching how to drive, that's private instruction. There really is no
licensed private instruction.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. Trubio Cars, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, is a company that creates curriculum for driving schools. They also put out a ton of free content on TikTok and YouTube and resources like that. Driving schools tend to give you lots of good information because they know that not everyone can get to an instructor. It doesn't replace private instruction, and Trubio does not charge, like they don't teach driving. Again, they create curriculum for driving schools, but they do share great tidbits of information. And if you reach out to them, they will happily answer your question. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. Do I have the logo on here? I think this is from when hang on. Wrong button.
I'm hanging.
No, that's the wrong button still. I think I've got their logo somewhere. Here we go. Because they were on a podcast. Yeah, Truby Cars, not Trubio. Truby Cars. That's their logo because Scott Marshall, who's a regular guest, he's irregular right now. He's not being regular, but he's taking something for that.
It's funny you thought of that because I was thinking it needs more fiber.
Yeah, more fiber. So at Truby Cars, we have a couple of episodes. Scott Marshall is a former head instructor for a major driving school, and he's since gone to move with them in his next phase of his career. But he's come onto our show tons of times. You can go ask him questions, even at Safe Driver. He's got a blog. He answers questions nonstop. Get him on the Safe Driver on Twitter. He's a guy who's going to answer your questions, and he's got tons and tons of content, which he offers to the world for free.
Professional instruction is fantastic.
Yes.
We even go through that as police officers driving any emergency driving, anybody who's employed as an emergency services driver will have extra training as well.
You can't get enough good training.
Good training.
Okay. Scrolling through because we've hit that 11 o'clock mark. Akil is back and says hello to you. When did he actually say hello to you? And there's no time here. I don't know what the time is. Okay. Can an out-of-profits 18-wheeler drive on the 407 without a transponder? Oh, there's these big signs on there. Big signs, right?
Yes.
They don't want you doing that. They charge you.
By the weight.
By weight?
By weight. That's
Ooh.
why. So, no, you need a transponder.
And I believe it's unlawful. You get a specific charge.
Yeah. If there's a sign and you disobey that sign, no matter where you are, where you're from, there's a charge for it.
Chase, Michael answers the question because Michael knows stuff and things. He, in regards to his nitrogen, he says, Chase can, I wonder if he means that Chase can be placed inside and moved without dangerous goods card with a specific class, no placards for small quantities, fuel for which vehicle is not dangerous goods. Okay, but he has answers.
So the fuel for vehicle is not dangerous goods, but if it is nitrous oxide,
That's different. Connected,
there's
yeah.
specific rules for that.
Yes. Randy McNaught. We said we appreciate him. He says, and Randy appreciates you too, Sergeant. And of course, Sean. Let's see here. So a question about TTC yielding back into lanes and stuff. Do they enforce the yield to transit bus in Toronto? Yeah, we do.
Yep, absolutely.
And as we should. Okay. Michael likes donuts. We got Kayla who says, stay safe. Remember, don't have a good day. Have a great day. I'm just scrolling back and going out of order. Absolutely. Can I get it? Oh, I like this question. It happens a lot in terms of the question. Can I get a ticket for accelerating fast but staying under the speed limit? So you hammer down, but then you stop right at the point where you would be breaking the law. What do you think?
Depends.
Depends.
Yeah.
I could tell you that.
Are you doing it to race? Or
Well,
engaged in a race?
That would be illegal.
There's a charge for that. Do you squeal your tires?
Oh, that would be illegal.
There's a charge for that. Are you wasting gas? Not illegal, but
This is bad.
Yep.
It's expensive. It could definitely fall into the stunt category. Can you race yourself if there's a clock involved? Like, could you make that argument?
I don't know about that. So is there anything specific about being able to accelerate rapidly?
No. Are people jumping out of the way because they think they're going to die because you're coming towards them so quickly, but then you stop? And pedestrians freak out and people are reacting.
Yeah, but we're just talking accelerating. So the light goes green and you go launch.
Yeah.
Speed limit's 80 and you get to 80 and you...
Depends. I think I could articulate stunt driving. I think I could articulate racing. I think I could, depending on what I'm seeing. So,
if there's two cars together and they both do it,
Oh.
you know that there's a race going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a lot of maybes. It depends. It's not just a diaper. Can I have a front plate in my windshield?
With that sharp piece of metal you want to
the Ontario Shuriken.
Yeah. First of all, no. It has to be displayed on the front of your vehicle. Second of all, it's dangerous if you put it in your windshield. You get in a crash or something like that, it comes flying out of you and chops your head off.
Yeah, that's gruesome sounding. The deal is that it is very specifically prescribed as to where it must be mounted. And if it's not mounted where the regulation says it is, it's an offense.
And if your car doesn't have a front license plate holder,
get one.
Get one.
And for those who don't like the look of the one that came with their car, explore the options of the tow hook adapters for license plates.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You know, it's in terms of if you're going to break the law or have a place other than where it was originally intended, I'd be good with it. But you got to look at those options. Some cars don't have that as an option. They don't have tow hooks.
Right.
There's a lot of there's a Tesla makes or a third party made a plate adapter that doesn't require the big problem with Tesla is
drill holes.
Well, some of them mount underneath and come up and around because the actual stock Tesla has no bracket and they use two-sided tape, which apparently comes off all the time. So I understand that there are some challenges, but there are some third-party solutions. But not running your plate is not one of them. And Tesla people are really big on not running a plate, and so are some Ferrari people and Porsche people.
Oh, I was going to say that. My good friend found out that his dealership didn't put the front license plate bracket on his Porsche when he got it. And he got a ticket. And a reminder to put it on. Guess what? It's on now.
I bet it is. It can get expensive. Some people think it's a payment plan for the right to not have a plate, but I can tell you that things get escalated, and if I see someone who's had multiple charges for the same thing, I'm going to summons them to court, so they have to go to court. It'll be different than a ticket that gives them an option to pay.
Yep.
Can I drive? Okay, two things. I think we're going to wrap it up. Actually, there's a couple good ones here. Does having an LED sign in the window that shows emojis on your rear back window, is it illegal? Please, I want to know the answer. It makes people laugh. It makes people smile. Sometimes it makes people angry when you give them emojis that are not complimentary. I used to have back in the day from the It store. It was a ball that you'd squeeze, and the hose would cause a hand with certain fingers to come up. I thought that was cool. Anyway, so,
Okay.
yeah. So is this illegal? You're projecting light that is potentially other than the colors that are legal. And then,
Well, it says at the back window.
yeah, but what if you're doing white, green, orange to the rear? It's a sign. Like people argue, and the question has come up a number of times. What about the signboards that are driving around downtown Toronto that have full video playing out of the sides? Those aren't legal. I don't think they're legal.
The ones that
Like
point
they've
out
got
the sides?
full-on billboards. They're driving around
Yeah.
the club district. I would say those are not legal.
Really?
They're lighting up the entire street with all sorts of light.
Interesting. I haven't thought about that before.
I don't really think about it a lot, but it comes to mind when this question comes up.
So is it illegal?
Not specifically.
Not specifically.
Could you get
Could
into
it be?
trouble? Well,
Could it be? Depends.
I think if you were using one of those, I think it would be on the off position and sparingly used, and you might get a chuckle, you might get a ticket, and you can, mileage might vary. Can I drive 6 people in a 5-person car? No, because the car has 5 seatbelts with 5 seating places, and everyone within the motor vehicle must have a seat and seatbelt and wear them. So that would be illegal. Can you get pulled over for just exhaust? And it's funny that people ask this because we know that not having an exhaust or making too much noise is an offense. So some states in the United States, we're in Canada, some of the American states have different categories of law, and certain things like seatbelts in some states, you can't pull someone over for not wearing a seatbelt. It's a secondary offense. You can charge them for no seatbelt, but you had to have charged them for, pulled them over for speeding, and then you can charge them for seatbelt. We don't have that here. So yes, I can pull you over for an exhaust, and I can charge you for the exhaust or lack thereof. But I think that's a good question. Okay. Can you take a turn on a red light? Here's the deal. In the province of Ontario, you can make a right turn on a red light, assuming there's no sign prohibiting it, but you must come to a complete stop first and ensure that it can be made in safety, and only then can you, once again, continue motion. People are oddly just running red lights on right turns, like everywhere. I see it all the time. And a lot of them are getting red light tickets, and they don't know why.
Yep.
They get really upset.
Yeah, I've seen them in court going, well, no, I turned right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't stop. Yeah, but it's right.
Apparently, some countries don't require you to stop in a red light, but this one does. So,
Yep. I yesterday, on my way home, I had an advanced green left turn signal, and the person making the right turn opposite me decided he could go at the same time as I did. We had words.
I bet. Here's an interesting question. I'm always being tailed aggressively while driving near a school at the posted limit of 30 kilometers an hour. What are the consequences for those that do speed in school zones and at off times? Well, there's no off times. School zones are school zones 24/7, speed limit.
Not all of them.
Well, unless it's conditional sign.
Right.
So majority of them are singular. They have one sign, one speed all the time. There are conditions where it says it's a certain speed when it's flashing, and those to me are obvious. But I think that many people don't see the benefit or need to slow down during off hours. But the consequence is the same.
Yep. And if somebody's tailed aggressively, follow too close.
Yes. What is this? Can cops give a ticket for using road which has signs local traffic only? Did you disobey a sign? Is that a regulated sign? I've never been charged.
Pretty much anything that there's a sign up telling you can or cannot do something, unless it's an orange advisory sign.
Most of those I think are orange. So I don't know.
We can lay a charge. Disobey sign. But I don't believe that one. So
I don't think so.
no, I would say not.
Yeah. Michael makes a comment that you could fit one person in the trunk if you had to take 6 people in a 5-person car. But a little known fact is that driving with someone in your trunk is stunt driving, which would result in a 30-day driver's license suspension, a 14-day impound, and a ticket that comes with a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail, and a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition on your first conviction.
So if you were trying to go into the drive-in theater and you stopped down the road to put some people in your trunk so they didn't have to pay, it would be fraud and an HGA offense?
But if you wanted to save the HTA, I guess you do it in the driveway off-road, so it's not HTA. But
Then it's just fraud.
It's just fraud. I think we've exhausted it, and it's 12 minutes longer than I thought we would because I've got to go into a meeting. But what is this? Matt Toes, a bit of an off-topic. Sorry, gents, but any tips and suggestions and applications to the Toronto Police Service? Well, here's what we'll do, just because I never talked about it, and
It's never off topic either because it has
to do with
to
the
do with
police.
us directly.
Yes, and
And it's a great question.
truly. Okay, put us on screen. So, I will mention, although I think the website is down currently. Look at that. The system is out. But if you go onto our website, and the website is www.tps.ca, put up a little thing there. So the deal is that you can go to that website, get all the information you were looking for to cover the basic stuff. Now, in terms of, you want to find out what the requirements are. Normally, you'd be pressing that button, apply now, and filling out all your stuff electronically. But this is the basics. You should start with the basics. In terms of advice, I would suggest calling in, preparing even as soon as the system is back up and you can meet those requirements. I would suggest crafting your application online, reaching out to a recruiter to make sure that you've done it properly and ask all of your stuff. But the biggest thing that I would suggest while you're waiting is working towards ensuring you have volunteer time, meaningful volunteer time. Not I went once and never showed up again, but you actually are contributing to the community you want to protect. That you have a good, clean driving record. That you're obeying the rules that you'd like to one day enforce.
Not just driving rules, but all rules.
Yes,
Be of good moral character.
it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Anything you can take a course, continuing education is a good thing. If you're in school or have recently finished school, this could be a process that takes you 6 months. It could be a process that takes you 6 years. Continue to learn things. Take a course. Better yourself in any way you can.
You know what? This is a job full of instructions. We have certain ways we have to do things, whether the law says it or our internal rules say it or public perception demands it. So when you're filling out your application, read over the instructions. If you cannot get your application process done correctly, you're not a very good candidate for something that needs to be so precise and follow the rules. So take the time.
Yes.
If you're going to put the effort in, put the effort in.
Absolutely. And we are absolutely hiring. We are looking for good people who want to serve their communities. This is a great organization to work for. And if you're not interested in being a police officer, but you're looking for a rewarding career, we have parking enforcement, we have special constables, we have all sorts of other roles, including civilian, administrative, computer. We are like a little city. So many different roles to keep the city moving and support the police officers that ultimately go out on the road to do, to help people. There's lots of opportunities here. And I've been with the service for 24 years, and it's an awesome place to work. You get to work with us.
No, you get to work with me.
Oh, there you go.
And I get to work with you. It is. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. And there's good places to eat around here. So just lunch, donuts. With that, I will say goodbye because I've got to go. I apologize if I did not get to your question today. Come back tomorrow and celebrate Friday for us. Now, for tomorrow, I just remembered that I was asked to attend a meeting. What time is my meeting tomorrow? Hang on, because we're going to either make it earlier or later to accommodate. And I will go to a poll. Do you think that we should go early or late tomorrow? Let's see. Tomorrow's meeting is mobility. Okay, so I'm thinking of doing the show at 11 o'clock till 12. Would you agree with that? Is 11 o'clock till 12 good?
Or 8 to 9.
Or 8 to 9? Yes, 8 to 9 or 11 to 12. or 12 to 1. Could do that too.
Yeah, you could.
Any suggestions? 11 to 12, 11 to 12. I'm seeing a lot of 11 to 12s pop up. Let's go back into the other channel. Let's see what's. Can I scroll down here? What do we think? 11 to 12. 12 1 1 oh. I am Boy Mom says 11 to 12 or 12 to 1. I think just based on the few that have responded, 11 12 seems to be the win. So I think we'll do that. I think we'll do it.
All right.
I think 11 to okay, 11 to 12. It's been decided.
See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow it is. Here's the traffic song, because I love the traffic song. It's my favorite song. Not my favorite song, but it's one of my favorite songs. Oh, yeah. 11 to 12 tomorrow. See you then.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I didn't realize that the mic was still live. I thought you turned my mic off, so I was chewing in your ear. Let's see here. Yes, so I was accused by Nick of Dr. Nick saying I didn't read the votes, but I see here 1, 2, 3, 4 votes for. Wait. 5. Oh, Chase, I didn't see yours, Chase. I did miss yours. So it's almost the same. Looking for 12 to 1, 12 to 1. Am I going to renege? Okay, I'm going to count it again. Let's go and make it as fair as possible. Raddick, Chase, Michael could take it either way. Doesn't care. He says either 11 to 12 or so. We won't count your vote because you're neutral. Then we have Michael L. and Dr. Nix. We have 4 votes for 12 to 1. Akela says 11 to 12. So is that 4? Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 votes. So 11 to 12 still stands because there was more votes for 11 to 12. But in the totally democratic change of our schedule for tomorrow, 11 to 12 stands. Sorry, Chase, you're outvoted. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow